All right, let's stick with the election year, and let's rope in the IMF. What role can they play in perhaps keeping these expenditure numbers down in an election year? I'll start with you, Senyo.
The IMF is in a pole position to influence, and not just that, as well as the World Bank at this time, to influence the trajectory of our fiscal and monetary policy. I mean, they are more on the monetary policy side, but still has fiscal implications. But so they have the influence. When you need money from your bank and you really need it that bad, you listen to them and how they want you to run your business. It's just like every child and a parent. When you can't afford it yourself, anything your parents say, you have to follow so you can get your thing. So they're in a position to do it. The only challenge is that, they've always had an identity crisis and how to also a PR crisis in the developing world. They've had challenges with their own modus operandi, but there's always some sense of suspicion. That's what they say, like the whole concept of homegrown solutions. Mm-hmm. So you it's like you choose your own pill and decide how you want to die. They'll be quietly advising you on the side. You remember homegrown from Setekbe's time?
Yes.
But that really is the answer. It's not the IMF. It's what fiscal decisions you wish to make as an economy and as a government. And it requires a certain level of discipline where you rise above your parochial interests and look into the future and think about the generations after your time. So I congratulate Dr. Baumia, very good friend, my neighbor. But this is not the time for him to think and talk break the eight. It should be talking about the sustainability of our country and the legacy that we can set right for the generations after him. We have to start taking those decisions, and they're hard decisions. Those decisions must be taken now. We can't take them in 2025. We can't lie the public, hoping that we get vote for 2025. This is why I also call on President Mahama, a fair friend, good friend, great fine gentleman, no doubt, pole position. We can't have political rhetorics again as our conversation. We can't have it. We have to have an honest conversation about that future. 2025 is going to be difficult. Any government will find it difficult. The tolerance for the current government will not exist. The tolerance for the pain will be hard, so you need to be able to communicate right. But you must be honest about the decisions that has to be taken. So please, the people saying break the eight, stop breaking that eight. If it was for your rhetoric, for your campaign, it's over. Ghanaians need a proper story on how they can sustain the next eight. Not you breaking your eight. How they can sustain their own fate. How they can sustain their next 8 years. That is the problem Ghanaians have to deal with. It needs fiscal discipline. Look at this overexpenditure on capital. That's a sign of break the eight. How are you seeing this overspend in our capital expenditure reflect on the ground in our economy? We have spent more on agriculture. We have spent more on roads, and yes, so we can't see the transformative feature in these subsectors. So it goes back to what Prof was saying, and I argue this every time. Spending is required, but it's not just in the numbers that I sit down as an economist and then or an analyst and look at. It's in the productivity of that spend, the efficiency of that spend. We are very inefficient about our spend. That's why you see an asphalt thrown on your street, and after 6 months, you see the whole thing wobbling. But the contractor has chopped the money and he's gone. Yeah. And he's not chopped it alone. He's chopped it with all the
all the staff of the ministry.
Look, you see, and then nobody goes after anybody. So where is the accountability? Yeah. So for me, IMF has an influence, but that's not where our problem is. It's in the decisions that our leaders would want to make. We don't need people who want to be president. We want people who want to drive sustainability and hope for our children and children's children. This is a time for true leadership, even if it means not breaking your oath, losing an election, not making anybody happy. Just be honest, because we are at some form of a precipice.